entertainmentbuddha.com.
Hey now everyone, welcome back to, I don't even call it a brand new because we haven't done a fucking episode of our primetime gamer geek focused podcast in years. I mean, I'd love to say decades, but it's definitely not been 10 years. But it's been at least, I'd say 3 or 4 since we've done a video game or just non-Star Wars, non-Game of Thrones focused podcast on the Entertainment Buddhacast Network. Again, we are the best podcast for pop culture geeks, people. So why have we taken a lot of time off? Well, it's easy. Staff, people that used to do the podcast with me, they've gone to do bigger and better things. Who knows if they're bigger and better, but they've gone. So, that contributed to the cast kind of dying off. And then I just, as I get older, take on more shit, find more jobbies to eat up my time. I don't even really get into the video game culture as much as I used to. I've shifted more into movies, TV. We got Star Wars Time on its own website and network now. So that's where I've been. That's why we've kind of neglected the gaming stuff. But I've got 2 homies with me, 2 new dudes have not been on the podcast before. We've got Nat Smith, who, he's been with the site for a long time. I feel like he's been with the site since he was in middle school. He's all grown up now, out of college. He's our convention reporter. He goes out. He just covered PAX East for us last weekend in Boston, so we're going to talk to him about that. And then we also got my other buddy from a long ago gaming site that we used to both contribute to. I think they call themselves Gaming Access Weekly now. It was Assault Weekly back then, but we've got Enrique here too. So, I mean, he's put a few things out on EB, mainly doing reviews, but, he's kind of the one that was like, let's get this video game podcast up and running again. And I was like, I do shows almost 3 days a week now. Can I fit another one in? Why the fuck not? Because I kind of want to talk about some video game stuff, almost as someone from the sidelines these days, rather than being right in it like I think Nat is. I believe Enrique still games pretty hard. So that's what we're going to do. I don't even know what we're going to call this show. I mean, I want to call it Geek Time, but they used to use that. Ralph Sorella did on the Howard Stern show, but that's been dead for years. So, maybe we'll run with Geek Time, Game Time. Who gives a shit? It's time to start talking about video games. So, boys, why don't you go ahead and say hello, starting with my man Nat, just so everyone can get used to his nice, deep, sultry voice. Nat, go ahead and say hello to the listeners of Geek Time.
Okay, I'm saying hello now. I'm Nat Smith.
There he is.
It.
He is a robot, people. You didn't know that. He's a robot. That's why he's a little monotone. But you'll get to like him, man. He's a fun robot. And then we also got Enrique. Go ahead, buddy.
I'm getting Fifth Element vibes from that right now.
Yeah?
Mr. Corbin Dallas.
Yeah, man. No, he's Nat is a man of few words, but they are very impactful when he lays them out there. So he's a funny guy. You should watch some of his videos he's done for us. All right, so speaking of Nat, dude, PAX East, lay it on us. I guess just to start, what was your general impression of PAX East 2019? Good show, bad show, kind of in the medium? Is it one of your top, one of your least favorite times? Because I believe, is this your 4th or 5th time covering PAX East?
Yeah, this was my 5th time covering PAX East, I think, and I had a pretty good time. I would say that this was probably one of the better shows, mainly because it wasn't 10 degrees outside, which is a huge factor for whether or not PAX East is good or not.
No, you're right. I believe the last one I was scheduled to go to, I actually had to cancel day of because there's some massive blizzard, and my plane got canceled. I wasn't even going to get to the show until midday Saturday, and at that point I was like, fuck it. So he is dead on. I mean, weather for any convention is key. I'm headed to Star Wars Celebration next week in Chicago, mid-April. I mean, there's a good chance I could be in a snowstorm. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, but He's right. A cold Boston for PAX East can suck, especially if you have to do a lot of walking, if you're trying to save money on Ubers, cabs, whatever. I remember when Ray Parekh and I went to our first one. The Boston cabbies literally just line up to scam us gaming fucks for PAX.
How does that work?
We had a dude, you could tell he was doing the old drive around technique. Just driving so far out of the way of the convention center to rack up the meter. It's like, dude, we're not that stupid. We can see it right fucking there. So, all right. So, you know, it was a good show. I mean, I guess, what was the one thing that really stood out to you that you saw? I mean, could it be just talking to a developer, a publisher, or was there a game that stood out and you're like, I can't wait till this shit releases?
Well, my whole I think it was my third day there on Saturday. I had a lot of Devolver and .emu stuff, and I think they pretty much always put out good shit, except for when people get mad at them for putting stuff on the Epic Store, but that's a completely different story. They had, .emu had Streets of Rage 4 and Windjammers 2, which are two games that I never thought I would ever be, saying with my mouth, because I thought that, two people knew about Windjammers, and I figured Streets of Rage was completely dead.
Oh, come on, man. These are games from my childhood.
I know, and they're...
I mean, Streets of Rage was a big one back in the, early 90s, late 80s, and I think the footage we've seen of 4, it looks fucking pimp. I mean, they've kept it, I'd say, franchise correct, albeit with a modern bit of polish on it, right?
Yeah, it has, it's not sprites anymore. It's all, kind of hand-drawn looking stuff, which looks really good. The only, disappointing thing I noticed is that it's a lot less neon than the, original trilogy, which is not terrible, but it's just kind of, out of character.
Got ya. Yeah, and then Windjammers, I mean, that's a fucking classic, essentially, Frisbee game.
Yeah, it's basically just Frisbee volleyball
dodgeball
with superpowers.
Yeah. Did that, now, Windjammers 2, did they up it at all, or is it still going pixel art?
That is also, hand-drawn. It looks, even though it's hand-drawn, it looks pretty similar because it could have just been because it was, a super early version. I think when I asked the guy, I didn't like asking for release dates or release windows because that a lot of times they just be I don't know. So I just ask how much what percentage do you think it's done? And he was 30 or 40%. I'm okay, so this could probably look a lot better when it finally comes out.
Developers love being at trade shows. Especially talking to media all day long.
Yeah, they love.
You can tell, especially at E3. I mean, I know Nat had his first E3 last year, and I mean that's a whole different animal to the PAXs. Enrique, what have you've done? PAX, right? I mean, we hung out down at PAX South. Which
yeah, we did PAX South, and we did I think Rooster Teeth was the other one we've been to.
Got you.
Yeah, no, those are always fun. But I think for those smaller, not smaller, but for those conventions, I think the indie developers are really the ones that kind of get their time to shine.
Yeah.
Because usually, I mean, nowadays the conventions are more, if anything, they're just more like big PR shows for the big publishers. So it's awesome to actually be able to walk around the game floor show and actually talk to the little developers and see what they're working on.
Oh, I agree. It's a much more relaxed atmosphere than E3. I mean, E3's kind of businessy. I'm not saying we go wearing suits and shit, but it's definitely a little more uptight. But I mean, who knows? This year, this could be. I don't know if E3 will ever just fully die, but the fact that Sony is now pulled out, Microsoft's out, EA's out. It's definitely not the E3 that I went to back in my first one in 2011 or whatever, where everything was still in the main convention hall. It was the show. It was the event of the year. And now I think a lot of these companies, and Enrique made a great point, that with the PAXs, I think the barriers to entry are much lower for developers and publishers to get in and have a table, where E3, I mean, people companies like Sony are citing expenses as to why they're pulling out of E3. And to just, in this day and age of the gaming public, I mean, how much of gaming assets, media, previews, whatever, do you really think people are going to websites or traditional media for anymore, right, guys? I mean, it's streamers, it's influencers. So these companies are like, why the fuck spend $250,000 million to go to E3, throw on this big show for media, when we could just release the trailers on YouTube and let Ninja talk about it on his stream.
Yeah, and not just that, but I think nowadays we're seeing developers, or at least those publishers, there's more value to them putting on their own streams or their own trade shows or like Nintendo Directs, their own versions of it, because all the attention's on them. They don't need to worry about splitting between what a competitor's saying or what other games are coming out. You know that for whatever 2-3 hour block they have, like this is all them all the time.
True. I don't know. I mean, so what else, Nat? What else did you get out of PAX East? I mean, obviously, we know Devolver, they're going to put out some fun stuff. I mean, they're the champions of the retro, made new, if you will. I mean, they kind of take old concepts, put them into newer settings, fresher settings. What else did you see that you're like, okay, I can get behind this. I want to follow this game's development.
So Yacht Club Games, the people that made Shovel Knight, they had a new game there called Cyber Shadow, and I thought that it was like being developed by them, and it's literally developed by one dude, and it's just published by Yacht Club Games, and they're just kind of like putting little touch-ups on it here and there, and it's basically just like Ninja Gaiden, but not horrifically bullshit and actually fun. And
so let me guess, you're not into painful games. Are you what's the game out right now? How do you pronounce it? Sekiro? Or?
Sekiro, Shadows Die
Twice.
Yeah, that seems to be the new From Software boner everyone has.
Yeah,
I have a big old From Software boner. I like all the Souls games, but I think that's because Dark Souls games are hard but fair.
Got you.
And Ninja Gaiden is hard and not fair because it's from the 80s when a 30-minute game had to be stretched out to 3 months.
Yeah.
It's hard and
I mean,
cheap.
if that, I mean, shit. How old are you, Enrique? Are you closer to me or are you closer than that? I mean, I'll be 39 in July.
I'm like smack in the middle, man. I think difficulty-wise, though, I love the Souls game because back when I played at GameStop, I remember my manager was like a hardcore weeaboo, so he bought, I think, the OG Demon Souls from Japan.
Holy shit.
And we played that in like the Story Interactive, which was like, I fell in love with that game because I thought it was so cool, and I've been with that series, but Sekiro was a completely different game, and like, I'm not gonna lie, I was playing it today, and a good the first hour, I had me just about ready to rage quit because the gameplay is so different than what they've kind of stressed in the previous like Soulsborne series. But I think once you start getting the hang of it, it's actually really cool because I think that's one of those games that's definitely more skill than anything else. And even though you're going to get your ass kicked at the very beginning, you can see a clear improvement in your own skill as you're playing, and that's kind of when the game starts getting a lot more fun.
There's a hubbub around that today, right? That someone said that there should be an easy mode or.
Kotaku.
Yeah.
Was that Kotaku? No, it was
I think
Forbes?
it was Kotaku.
No, I think it was Forbes.
Yeah, well, a bunch of people jumped on it like, why do you got to make everything accessible? Everyone's like,
I think the thing that people jumped on was that one person from Forbes published that article, and then another person from Forbes posted like the exact opposite article. So you see these two articles from Forbes. It's like Sekiro is perfect the way it is, and then the other one's like Sekiro should have an easy mode. Like, okay.
The rub I got, at least, I use Hootsuite, gather all my social media streams. It's how I pick shit out of the internet. But it seemed a lot of people, it's weird. Like, the shit that people get up in arms about anymore, it just is mind-boggling. But they're like, not every game has to be for everybody. Sometimes people just aren't meant to play certain games. It's like, all right.
I mean, it's a weird argument to have because, I mean, I kind of get what people are...
Who cares if they put an easy mode in? That's how I look at it. It's like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it doesn't detract from your gameplay if it's got an easy mode, other people can play it, so... But I think for a lot of those games, a lot of people get that kind of, like, that pride boner from being able to say, like, oh, I beat this game X number of hours, or, like, with 0 deaths, because...
Oh, hell yeah.
It has that baseline kind of, like, that gateway to entry. And they like the fact that it's gated because that way they can kind of have like that one up, which I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Everybody likes to kind of have that one thing they're really good at. So,
I get why you people play these games. I don't play them for my health. Like, I legitimately would probably have a stroke, or I would add to my $500 plus collection of busted controllers and other devices. I mean, I've broken 65-inch flat screens from gaming. On the Xbox 360 era, I'm not fucking kidding. I am, what was my, it was $350 in controllers just on the 360 era.
Oh my god.
And this behavior started NES. I mean, when those things had a cable and you could swing them around like a fucking lasso and really build up some force and smack it into shit.
Probably like flail your TV.
Oh yeah, dude. At 8 years old, I had multiple holes in my walls in my room from punching it or elbowing stuff. I spray painted my wall over a video game. That's just I need to get rage out. I just did it tonight. Just tangent here. I left a very expensive water bottle probably in the bathroom at work, so it's probably gone. And when I realized that, it fucking angered me as if I lost, my daughter or something. Like, I mean, I almost was going to call off this podcast because I was so fucking insane over losing a water bottle. And so how do I deal with it? Well, I come home, I punch a heavy bag until my knuckles bleed. I broke our trash can, and I smashed a jar of pickles because I forgot it was in my lunchbox when I smashed that on the counter. So that was me just dealing with a lost water bottle. Imagine me fighting a boss for, how many minutes and thinking I'm going to win and then I lose.
Yeah, well, first off, I'm going to say hydration's no joke, so I totally get where you're coming from.
Well, dude, it was like a Yeti-style bottle. I mean, it was like a $40 water bottle. So, I mean, there's that, too. But it's like, come on. You lost it and move on. Like, I could not fucking move on.
I mean, that's an investment, though, man. I get it. And
you know what I mean? There's just certain things in life where you're like, I lost that. I need to know where it is. It's driving me fucking nuts.
I mean,
if I lost it, I'm a loser. I hate myself. You can't even order this bottle anymore, so that's compounding the issue. But this is why I don't play games that make me nuts anymore.
I can see that.
I can't handle it. I used to love it. I mean, I was a guy, every year, every COD'd come out, I'd have to play it on Veteran first go-around. I mean, it's gotten easier over the years, but, Veteran COD 2 was a fucking cunt. As Enrique say, I get that high. I get why people abuse themselves with these games and want to cry while they're playing them, because when you do beat something that has been kicking your ass, it is a fantastic feeling of accomplishment. I mean, it rivals sexual accomplishments, that gratification, earning a degree, doing something phenomenal in life. It is a magical feeling, but it's one I've been willing to kind of let go just because I know who I am as a gamer, and at almost 39, I really don't want to have a stroke over a video game.
Yeah, I think with me, though, it's not so much the rage, it's just that I don't have time to invest in that. Like, those games were perfect for me back when I was in college, and, like, I literally had nothing to worry about except my next class, and that's it. So I could afford to stay up till, 2, 3 in the morning just beating my head against the wall trying to beat a boss. But nowadays, man, I got a full-time job. I got a 2-hour commute. I get home and I spend it with my girl and the dog, and I don't have that much.
Dude.
Yeah, I can't afford to get angry and beat my head against the wall. I think today was the first time that I sat down for a good chunk of time to play Sekiro, and man, even that I was I played a good hour, and then when I started getting to that point where I could feel myself getting frustrating, I was like, you know what? I don't have enough hours in the day to waste it on getting pissed off. I'm going to turn this off and catch up on some TV.
You are an evolved human, my friend. You are an evolved human. But Nat, so how about you? I don't envision you raging out on games.
I don't think I've raged out on a game
Ever,
since,
right?
like you said, the kind of Xbox 360 Call of Duty era. I definitely but it was silent fury, internalized, just headset off, I'm just gonna
just slowly walk away,
smack my face with a pillow for a little bit, drink some fucking game fuel, masturbate, go right back to it.
Well, that always relieves the stress, so have at it. Yeah, I don't see you being someone that would get nuts over much in life.
A little bit too mellow for that rage.
You seem to be pretty fucking low key. Like even Steven. The best part is, people, he doesn't even do any drugs. Like this is just, he's just this mellow, naturally.
I think it's like my New Hampshire blood. It doesn't let me get too angry.
I guess that could make sense up there. Although, I mean, I guess you're not in like proper like Boston City, New England, because those people can get pretty fucking nuts. I mean,
no, yeah,
that part of New England, they definitely. I mean, I don't know if you guys follow sports, but I mean, they're basically having to ban fans from Celtics games and this, that, and the other game for, dropping the N-word on visiting players, and
Jeez.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts over there right now. But I'm not just right now, all the time. I mean, I've got a lot of family in Philly, and they're pretty angry and nutty too. But
yeah, it's certainly passionate, I guess.
I don't know. I think that's right though. Up there in the New Hampshire area, Connecticut, Vermont, I think they're just pretty peaceful and chill, living in the woods, hanging out, driving pickup trucks, and driving in the Nats internet poles.
Yeah, that was fucking cool. That was like so awesome. My mom texted me and she's like, some drunk guy just like crashed into a phone pole on the street. I live like 2 minutes down the road from my parents, so sometimes when something gets fucked up on their grid, it gets fucked up on mine too.
Oh, that's awful.
And so some dude he took out my parents' mailbox, which was already kind of on its last legs, so R.I.P. mailbox. And he hit this pole so hard. Mind you, he kept going after, but he hit it so hard that they literally had to replace the wooden pole. Like the pole had to be replaced.
Holy shit!
Damn.
And he was confirmed boozed up, right?
Oh yeah, they caught him afterwards. He like ran off into the woods, and they went out and caught him and shit. And it's just like, okay.
What an ass wipe.
Cool.
I mean, you're an ass wipe anyways for drinking and driving. You're a bigger ass wipe for taking out Nat's internet and his parents' mailbox. So fuck you.
Yeah, I had to go to my friend's apartment and try to watch wrestling while they fucking smoked like more weed than I've ever seen in my life.
Get a contact high out of that.
No comment. I like those people. They sound like good people.
Yeah, well, I went over and I was like, yeah, boys, let's watch some SmackDown. They were like, all right, and then proceeded to rip the same bong for like 2.5 hours. And I was like, can you stop?
Is that just how they have to get through SmackDown, or that's just normal evening?
I think it was just because all the boys were together, so they were just like, yeah, let's just get fucking smacked.
Man, I wish I still watched wrestling religiously. And that was my shit back. I still contend, and I know this is going to be generational, but that late 90s there, when The Rock, Triple H, DX, and all them were making their rise, Mankind, basically from like 98 to, 01, 02, that was some fucking prime time WWE. I mean, I think they were even F for a part of that time still.
Dude, you know what my highlight is in terms of wrestling? I got to go see, what was it, Yokozuna versus The Undertaker?
Oh yeah.
Like,
was that a WrestleMania?
I remember seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty huge.
I remember seeing that, and that was like the holy grail for me right there.
I recommend anyone, I don't care who you are or what you like, go to a live wrestling event. It's unlike any live event you'll ever go to. It's a mix of a concert and sports, I guess. I mean, it truly is sports entertainment. There's no way to describe it unless you go. I mean, it's the electricity in an arena when WWE's in town is insane. So good on you for WrestleMania. I've only made a pay-per-view. I think I've done King of the Ring, multiple Raws, some SmackDowns.
That's awesome.
But now with the wife, that's what I say. But big fans of the Bella Show, and obviously Divas. I mean that's how I maintain my connection to WWE Universe these days, is through the reality shows with the girls.
Oh,
and I'll admit it, I'm the one that looped in my wife. She didn't loop me in.
At least you still got a foot in.
I got her into it. She's like, I actually like this stuff now and find wrestling somewhat more intriguing by watching these shows. I was like, there you go. I'm telling you, it's good stuff. Anyways, all right. See, tangents, people. Like I said, it can happen. All right, Nat, so we talked about some cool shit you saw at PAX East. And you don't have to say if you don't want to, but were there any turds you came across?
This year, honestly, no. I was pretty content with everything I saw. There were things that I like walked by, like things that I didn't have appointments for. There's always like games that I walk by that I'm like, that looks like poopy. I'm glad I don't have an appointment with
You
it.
should just went up and freewheeled an appointment. Be like, I want to play your piece of shit.
Actually, you know what? It's funny. The first year that I went to PAX, that happened to me. There was a game there that was this fucking god awful like beat 'em up, but it was like with pirates and ghosts and stuff. And I shit you not, it looked like a Flash game. But they were doing a thing that was like, oh, people who get the high score win this
Oh, I think I remember
headset.
this, and you won it, didn't you?
I don't think that they let me have it because I found an exploit in their game within like 5 seconds of starting it. It was like if you just didn't finish the combo, you could just infinitely hit like the boss character until they were dead. It took like 2 minutes of just like hitting like B, B,
Just
B,
spamming.
B.
Hey, it was.
And I was like, this
It
is
was
fun,
within the
guys.
rule
You
set of
should-
the game, so they should have honored their fucking pledge. I mean, it sounds like Nat
Yeah.
set the record that day, and he was
They
robbed.
were upset.
Robbed.
I was robbed of my fucking headset that was probably broken anyway, so who cares?
Did you run into any shitty people at PAX East?
I ran into people that smelled like shit. Does that count?
That's par for the
I
course.
mean, it's PAX. Yeah, it's PAX. It's convention. That's kind of.
We all
In
we all smell when
particular,
we hurry up and
there's like a sky bridge in that convention
Yeah.
center, and in particular this year, it was like a sweaty asshole. I don't know why. Just this year,
super
but, like,
humid and smelly.
so humid and just stanky. Like even like after, like, cause Taylor and I stayed for some panels like almost every night because we didn't have anything else to do. We're like, we should get the most out of it. Watch some panels, and even at like 10 o'clock at night when we were walking from one side of the building to the other, we're like, let's just take the sky bridge. And I was like, there's no one in here, and it still smells bad.
I wonder.
It's just
yeah.
like seeped into
Bunch
the
of
carpet.
people are sitting in there with their assholes spread open all day long, like sitting on the floor. It's all in the carpet.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while, I just see dudes with, like half their furry suit on, just like laying there on the ground. I'm like, that's cool.
Was there
Just
any like
marinating.
over the top cosplay that you were like, holy shit, that's pretty impressive?
There was a girl there that I did not see for myself, but I guess she was cosplaying as Wraith from Apex.
Nice.
And it was like a pretty nice cosplay. It was one of her like legendary skins, and it was all like white, and she had like a cool mask and all the whole armor and the whole shebang. It was pretty
Dude,
sweet.
speaking of Apex, man, that's just another one of those games where you're like, fuck. I wish I had ideas like that. I mean, how much? I believe the game has already made what? Anyone know the number? I mean, it's millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on a free-to-play game. Had no pre-marketing hype. Just released one fucking day. Here we go.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's a
it's
testament to when you
very
can put
odd.
together a good game.
Is that? I mean, I haven't played it. I honestly, this again, age thing and life thing, as Enrique said, I haven't even touched a battle royale game. I haven't fucking touched them. I played Fortnite before it had battle royale. Never played PUBG. Never played
I forgot about
H1Z1. Haven't touched Apex. Haven't touched the COD one. I mean, am I
I
missing
haven't
out?
had a chance to play as much, but I mean, I played a little bit, and the cool thing about it is they kind of took a couple different genres and mixed them together. Because you have the battle royale aspect of it, but they combined it with like the team combat, and then they threw in like the whole hero genre of it, and it works really well together. I think that's what's so fun about it, though, that it's not just like a clone of something like Fortnite where everyone's got the same abilities and skills. It kind of gives you that hero where everyone kind of picked their own favorite and kind of specialize in that. And I think that's part of the big appeal for it.
So is it kind of like Overwatch battle royale?
Ish.
Okay.
Because, I
I'm
mean,
taking
they do
ish.
have like different. Yeah, because they have like the different characters and different heroes, and each hero has like their own like special ability. There's like a medic, there's
Right, but
kinda
it's
scout
still
type hero.
kill or be killed. There's no objectives or capture this or capture that or.
Yeah, exactly. And then the only caveat's like in a team of three, so it's like your team of three versus like 6 or 7 other teams of 3.
Okay, so there's no wolves then. There's no solo players.
I mean, you can solo queue and stuff,
but
you'd
still be put
3.
in a squad of 3s, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, you couldn't just come in, you're on your own as Enrique, let's fucking go.
Nah, not at the moment. I think it's all team-based.
Now, you play it, right?
I play the shit out of it.
So what is it for you? I mean, have you played Fortnite and the other ones?
Yep, I played Fortnite, I played PUBG, I played Blackout. Blackout was like the closest that I got to being happy with Battle Royale, and then Apex came out and I was like, oh wait, no, this is the one I like. This is cool.
Yeah.
So you think of out of all the ones available right now, at least to you, Apex is speaking to the way you like to play.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of funny if you go on YouTube and type in Apex Legends is dying, there are videos going right back to like the week that the game came out, and it's really funny.
Oh, because people are talking shit like ain't gonna make it. Fortnite.
People are like, oh, I'm gonna predict this, and then I'm gonna get a bunch of views, and then they're wrong.
And they're still getting a bunch of views, so good on them. Hey, fuck it. That's where
it's popping up in my recommended, so I guess they're doing something.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, dude, my YouTube recommended is nothing but Star Wars hate videos. So I mean, YouTube does that on purpose because they know it gets clicks. I mean, you just look at it in any type of media, all these companies thinking about scrubbing hate posts and this, that, and the other thing. It's because it's what people fucking click on. Why do you think Twitter and these platforms won't ban known Nazis and white supremacists? It's because motherfuckers click on the shit. It's called money. Money.
Yeah, it's true.
Click, click, click. We need to do more clickbait. That's why EB's dying. We don't do enough clickbait. We need to start making shit.
You're like the last bastion of integrity.
I'm gonna start just pulling titles out of my ass like everyone else.
There you go.
Tomorrow I'm gonna lead with Apex Legends is being canceled, and I'll just fucking throw it out there.
Or something really controversial. You can say BioWare did nothing wrong.
There you go.
Yeah.
How's that for controversy?
BioWare doesn't like minorities.
Oh.
I mean, that's really where a lot, like some sites go. I mean, not that example, but they just throw shit out. I mean, especially in the Star Wars universe. I mean, some of these sites, the rumors that they pretend to know and the shit they put out there, just like, fuck. Do you know? Do you have no integrity? Where is your integrity?
I'm excited for someone to write about Anthem being alt-right propaganda.
Oh, God.
Well, you never know. I mean, it could happen.
I'm sure you could spin it in some way, shape, or form.
So, speaking of Anthem, great transition from our boy Nat right there. That is a topic we had on the list of things to go through. So, obviously the game's been out for a few months. It's taken its fair share of kicks to the face.
Yes, it has.
They've tried to patch it up, this, that, and the other thing. I mean, I think clearly the damage was done launch week, pre-launch week going into it. Messaging was off. And really the game was just a buggy mess. I mean, I dove into it. Launch day, I have love for BioWare, man. I mean, they built up a lot of goodwill with me over the years, starting with KOTOR and then being refined with Mass Effect and the Dragon Age series. But even as Nat and I were chatting offline and Enrique in our Slack, it's like BioWare has really fucking stumbled lately. I mean, the most recent Mass Effect was pretty fucking terrible. Anthem clearly has its problems. I mean, BioWare hasn't put out Magic since probably ME3, and fuck you people with the ending. Grow up. It was fine. There was nothing wrong with that. Or I think Nat said Inquisition. I mean, that was a good one too. But I think in terms of like what we look at BioWare for, at least to me, it was the KOTOR because of how masterful that was, and it was just insane for a Star Wars fan. But even more so, Mass Effect, because that was an original work. That was brand new IP that they cooked up, everything in-house, the story, the characters, the world. It was unbelievable. I mean, I played Mass Effect 1 through 3 probably 3 times a piece just to try different choices out. And I don't think BioWare has put out a game like that since, right, guys? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
They really haven't. And, I mean, Mass Effect Andromeda had some really cool parts of it in terms of, like, gunplay and everything.
The story
but
was
overall,
garbage.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I mean, you guys read the article by was it Jason Schreier?
Back on Anthem.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead and introduce that, Enrique. Just kind of Cliff's notes it.
Well, I mean, Matt gave you guys kind of like the TL didn't read part of it, where I mean, Anthem came out, and I mean, to sum it all up, the best way to describe the way the game feels, because I still play it to this day. I'm enjoying it as for what it is, but ultimately the word that would describe the game is just it feels unfinished. There's so many small quality of life things that didn't make it to the game. There's so many like weird bugs that just feel like they, if you'd done any kind of testing, they shouldn't have even been in the game to begin with. So that's kind of where all that frustration comes from. And for a long time, like on the subreddits and on the forums, people have been saying, what happened with this game? It feels unfinished. This game is like not what you guys promised. Like you guys failed to deliver. And there's just been kind of rumor mill that like something happened in development that this game just got rushed. And finally, this article comes out on Kotaku and it tells you like what Anthem went wrong. And the gist of it is exactly that this is a game that even though it was in development for about 7 years, it only started production, I think, the last 18 months. And like the first 5 to 6 years were just mismanagement and going back and forth and talking about a lot of ideas and not cementing on a clear, cohesive vision. I think part of the article touched about that they didn't actually start working on the game or having an idea of what it was going to be until they showed that E3 trailer.
That was 2017, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even then, so I mean, it's like...
Well, didn't the article say that they weren't even going to call it Anthem, and they just, like, that day they walked out, they're like, yeah, let's fucking call it Anthem. They're going to call it Beyond.
Yeah, because I think the initial story was, Beyond, you're, like, on this world that... You guys remember, was it Thor Ragnarok, right?
Yeah.
Remember the planet he ends up on, where it's just kind of like a big jump planet where things get sucked into a bunch of portals?
Galaxy.
Yeah, so apparently, like, Anthem was supposed to take place on a planet like that, where it's just, like, different things keep getting sucked into this nexus. And it's, like, this super dangerous world, and it was going to be called Beyond because the idea is, like, you venture beyond the walls of safety to explore this great, vast, dangerous world. But in their mind, they kind of went into this with this mindset, they're like, oh, we want to build this really cool game, and they just throw out all these awesome ideas, but, like, nobody sat down and say, this is what we're going to work on. It was a lot of just... do this, do that, wouldn't it be cool? And nothing got put together. And then I think the last probably year and a half is when they finally sat down and started cranking out, rushing the game. And I think to hear the article say it, there was just a lot of mismanagement with upper level management, whether it be the producers or the executives. And when you have your developers coming up and saying, hey, we shouldn't do this, it's not going to work, or hey, we don't have enough time to do this, they would either just ignore them or they would just say, don't worry, it's a live service game. We can fix this once we release it. Just make sure we meet the deadline.
Now, do you think I'm not disagreeing there? Do you? I always look at these situations as these are the suits that are fucking things up, and not the game creators.
You would think that,
right? I mean, you think this is EA, right? EA publish.
Yeah, and the thing is, you would think that, but. From what I read, apparently the only reason the game even has flying, which is arguably like one of the best mechanics in the game, was because EA stepped in. I think at one point they weren't even going to include it, and then one of the EA executives stepped in and played the demo they gave him with no flying. They're like, this is fucking boring. What are you guys doing? You guys need to get your shit together. So they threw in a last minute demo where they put in flying back in to just kind of like give the guy something. He played it. He's like, this is what I'm fucking talking about. This needs to be in the game. And apparently that's the only reason flying is actually in there, thanks to EA meddling.
Huh. Yeah, because you would think that the artists, the people making this, they would not want garbage to release to the public.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the impression that I get. I mean, from the developers, the artists, everybody, like, they wanted to work hard and they were excited on it, but when you have leadership that's not really giving you a direction, and I mean, and I can attest to this from a project manager standpoint, because this is what I do on a day-to-day basis, and I've seen what happens when you sit there in those meetings and nobody can tell you what you're going to work on. Because you have everybody's got their own idea of how it's going to work, but nobody's willing to kind of, take accountability, and that's just what happens. And it's just telling, because, I mean, the whole time, when you're playing the game, there's these things that there's this potential, like you could tell they had a good idea, but that didn't get quite fleshed out. And suddenly this article comes out and it pretty much proves it. You know, it just kind of confirms what everyone was thinking, that, hey, this game was just, they ran out of time.
And I'm not kidding around. It to me, it's the best video game jetpacks I've ever experienced.
I do. The flying's fantastic, man.
Insane.
Like, it's got really solid gameplay.
Yeah.
But there's just no game to play.
Right. There's no real story. I mean, it's kind of like I don't even want to say it's like Destiny 1, because Destiny 1 wasn't a complete technical disaster like this was on launch. But for BioWare, the masters of world building and storytelling, that was completely devoid. I mean, there was none of that. I didn't get any of that in Anthem, and that's one of the reasons I haven't been compelled to keep playing. Like, there's no, I don't care about the character I'm controlling. I don't care about the people in whatever the fuck that place is called that you go back to. I don't give a shit about anything. All I care about is flying around, and that's only fun for an hour or so. Flying's fun, shooting's great. If you're on with some friends for an hour or two, dicking around, just doing mindless shit, okay, it's fun to bullshit. But as Enrique said, it just, I don't know, it doesn't feel like there's anything really to do, and finding shit to do. And this is what really bothered me. I don't know if they've patched it, but the fucking menu system is atrocious. I mean,
it's still so counterintuitive.
Just trying to figure out what the fuck mission you should be doing, where you should be going, what to do next, how to equip stuff. The combo system isn't explained at all. You have to like rely on the internet and friends.
Yeah, that reminds me of Dragon Age Inquisition, man, where you have to flip through like 3 different menus to find what your quest is for the day.
Yeah, I hate that shit. I mean, I hate when I have to hunt down shit to do.
Yeah, like you shouldn't have to hunt down information for like what you're supposed to be doing. But I mean, it's disappointing because like the game, like I said, like there's so many little like, it's like small little glistens of a diamond that could be in there in the rough. And I don't know, man. Right now, like the community is kind of at this tipping point where they're deciding, like, hey, is the game's out? This is all out in the open now, even though BioWare denies it. Which, I mean, that was another thing. BioWare released, I guess, a response to the article, but they timed it a little bit too early, and I think the response came out probably like a minute or two before the article printed, which made a lot of people suspect to begin with. And I mean, they're pretty much decrying the article, saying, "Hey, let's not point fingers. We shouldn't be tearing ourselves down. You know, like these kind of articles aren't helping anybody."
Right.
Which it sounds very disingenuous when you read the article because I mean, their response is showing that they're still doing the same thing that the article was kind of criticizing about, that they're just not taking feedback.
Yeah, no, that's exactly their message. More or less summarized was, everyone work their asses off. Don't fucking make fun of us. It's mean. Be nice. Right? I mean, that's what they said.
Be nice.
Yeah, pretty much, man. At the end of the day, like, and it sucks because at this point, like, they need to take some accountability for it. It's like, look, man, you guys mismanaged this project, and it is what it is. Like,
I think the damage has been done at this point for BioWare. I mean, they've lost, at least for me, some goodwill when you had Andromeda and then this. 2 games where I was expecting to be mesmerized by narrative and was completely let down. And
for sure,
with
man.
Anthem, narrative wasn't there, and just the gameplay was chunky because of all the glitches and bugs that it released with, and just connecting to the servers was a fucking nightmare for the first week or two. You'd be mid-mission, you get dropped out. Nat, did you even play the game or buy it, or have you just dabbled in it, maybe played the demo, and you're like, I'm not an idiot, I'm not getting this thing?
I played the demo, and I was like, wow, this is like when I played the Destiny 2 beta, and I thought, wow, they made the game better now. This part is really good, because the Destiny 2 beta was really good, and that was also the only good part of the whole game.
right.
So then when the whole game came out, you got past that part, and it was like, oh, it's Destiny 1 again. Oh, I'm bored. Oh, I'm going to play a different game now.
No,
Yeah.
You're not far off, and this is coming from a guy that, honestly, the Destinies, the Anthems, I just don't think it's a genre I like. I'm not someone that can just do the same repetitive shit over and over to increase gear. Well, that's a lie. I do it on
Looter shooter.
I do it on Star Wars Galaxies of Heroes religiously. Been doing it for over 3 years. It is my #1 game. Yes, it's a free to play.
Are you still playing that?
Dude, it is. I probably sink in sporadically when I can throughout the day, 2 hours a day on that game.
Nice.
Fucking love it. I'm in a money guild now. We're rolling shit. We got strategies for territory wars, battles. That's where my gaming time is spent these days, boys, on a free-to-play 3-year-old Star Wars mobile game.
Hey, you just need that right motivation for it.
I love
as long as you
I
got
absolutely
the right
love
backdrop,
it.
you're good.
I love it. I love the enjoyment it gives me. It gives me a little burst. I can do it when I'm upstairs with the family, so I'm not detached down in my gaming cave. But there are times where I'm sitting here going, like, I do miss sitting down and playing a AAA game for hours on end. I mean, even these days, even if I have free time, I can't play games anymore for more than an hour. I can't do it. I don't know if it's age or what, or just I want to shoot some toys, not with guns. I take pictures of them. But there's other shit pulling at me. But I think even if I had the week to myself, no kid, no wife, just me and the cat, I still would be hard pressed to play a single video game for longer than an hour at a time.
Yeah, I can feel you, man. Like, I have an enormous backlog, and then it's part of that same reason, man. Like, I just don't have
I still haven't played
the time to get to
Horizon.
'em.
I mean, that's how far my backlog is.
Neither have I.
There we
I
go.
haven't played that either.
All right, we're bros. We're backlog brothers, all three of us.
There you go.
I got a fucking stack. I mean,
played that.
honestly, the stack's built up enough at this point where I just need to start doing the old, Nat's benefited from this before. Hey, which one of you guys want a box full of games I'm never going to play type of deal for the EB staff.
That's my favorite thing.
All right, well, I'll be doing that because in the back of my head, I'm like, dude, you'll get to it one day. You'll play that game one day, and then
You'll play this 60-hour game.
Then
one
one year later, oh yeah, you'll get to it. You'll get to it.
You know what the problem with those 60-hour games are nowadays? That eventually I do get to it, but I can only play for an hour or two, and then I won't play it for weeks, and I come back and I don't know what the fuck is going on, so I have to start over.
Dude. I tried to fire up FF15 last night. First off, it doesn't even run on my Xbox. I have 2 Xbox Ones, and it does not run on either one, so I don't know what the fuck's going on there. But even after it booted, I mean, dude, I'm talking, this thing is so slow that the frame rate might be 1. I mean, I've read that there's issues. I mean, there other people have experienced on Reddit. So far, none of the fixes have worked for me, so I'm just like, fuck it. But like Enrique said, you can't leave those RPGs and then come back after any amount of time and get back into it, immerse yourself into it. It's one of the reasons I won't come back to Red Dead 2. The game's so fucking slow to me. And I know, yes, if I give it time, the story will kick in, the Rockstar charm will kick in. At this point, I can't deal with the slowness, feeding fucking horses, shaving, taking naps. The speed of gameplay slow to me. I need like quick blah, 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 blah. Okay, tap, 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 I'm done. See ya.
Yeah, dude, and like people call me crazy because like I think I was the only one in my friends group that couldn't get into Red Dead Redemption. But I had the same issue, man. It was just everything just smooth like molasses, and I just couldn't have that attention and time to dedicate to it.
What about you, Nat? You Red Dead? You get Red Dead or no?
Yeah, I played Red Dead for like a teeny tiny little bit, but yeah, it's one of those things. It's the same thing with Grand Theft Auto 5. I mean, my backlog of like games that are too long goes back to fucking Grand Theft Auto 5. I played through like half of it, and it's just like I don't have time, and I don't care.
Yeah, I guess the longest I put into a game in the past probably 4 or 5 years was Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and that's because out of the blue, Ubisoft sent me a code. Like, we rarely get shit from Ubi. So I was like, all right, fuck it, I'll knock it out. I mean, they gave it to me a few weeks earlier, whatever, and I think I had like 80 plus hours into that thing.
Odyssey's fun.
It's super fun, but it's also, you're like, holy shit, am I ever gonna get to the main story? And does this game ever truly end?
Oh man, you want to know what game I've just sunk in a good probably about 100 hours or so?
What's that?
Stardew Valley.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that. That's definitely a darling within the community.
Dude, it's literally just like a Harvest Moon style game, and I don't know what it is about it, but I think it's because it's a game that I can pick up and put down whenever with no attachment to it. It's not like, you're like Final Fantasy 15 where you're invested in this long epic story where if you walk away, you're like, God, man, I don't know where I'm at. I got to go. No, it's literally, I could play for like 20 minutes, put it down, come back an hour later, and I know exactly where I'm at.
You know what I've starting to get into, and it's playing more games on my Switch, just because of the mobility. I mean, I can throw a game on there, again, sit up with the family. I feel bad. I got a little 3-year-old. I don't want to be the dad that's always gone doing his own thing, so I want to at least be in the same room. So the Switch has enabled that, and I've gotten into more of those just kind of pick up and play games, and they are fun. I mean, I guess it's just where I am as a gamer. I'm more pick up and play, hour at best. There's a part of me that's dying inside. I want to relive that those marathon game sessions. I don't know if that's ever going to be a possibility. I mean, Nat, do you still have marathon sessions, or have you grown up to the point where your game time's kind of being pulled apart?
I mean, I like put in a pretty good effort. Like when the boys are like, "All right, let's play Apex until 1 a.m," and I have work at 7 a.m. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm gonna be tired tomorrow, so fuck it.
Good. I'm glad one of us is at
Priorities
least committing to it.
I try really hard. I think it also helps that I really enjoy playing Apex. And
Right.
there's not too many games that have come out lately. I'm hoping that Halo 6 kind of grabs me again, because I used to love Halo, and Halo 5 to me was like,
It was poopy. I mean, I'm a Halo fanboy, and it is the worst in terms of narrative yet.
Yeah.
Not to say that it was bad, because like low in comparison to other Halo games is still pretty good.
Right. I don't know. I feel like we should have had 6 by now. I mean, I think 5 and some of the reactions kind of shook 343 and Microsoft a bit, and then the MCC disaster. It's just I feel like they've kind of taken Halo away from us for a little bit to maybe make us remember why we love it so much. Maybe. I don't know.
That, or maybe they were just exhausted, man, because like they put out a lot of different Halo games.
We got like one Halo game per year.
Yeah.
Even if it was like a smartphone, Spartan Assault or whatever. But we were getting like one Halo game a year, and now we haven't gotten one since Halo Wars 2.
Dude, they were probably just burnt out, man.
It's good. I mean, honestly, it's nice to have a break from that type of stuff. I mean, the CODs, that's a yearly iteration game. I mean, AC was there, Assassin's Creed at one point. I think they've only taken one cycle off. Now they're back to releasing them every year. Yeah, I mean, I get into that model. I don't know. I'm with Nat. I want the next Halo. Again, I'm a lore narrative junkie. That's why I like anything I like. It's because of the stories. That's why I love Star Wars. That's why the prequels upset me, because I feel like they didn't tell the story properly, at least the one I had in my head. But we're not going to get into that. It's just.
I think the prequels upset people for a lot more reasons than that.
It's funny though, Nat, because a lot of people in your generation that kind of grew up with the prequels. I'm assuming you were a little kid when TPM came out. I would have been 19. I think
I was 5.
Yeah. So you didn't know any better. You're like, hey, this looks kind of neat. It's funny. That guy with the big ears is a jerk off, but he makes me laugh. I mean, I played it for my kid. She thinks Jar Jar is, basically the most hilarious practical comedian out there, in terms of someone that just takes falls and this, that, and acts like a goof for laughs. But it's funny though, people in your generation now, like, they're the ones piling on the Disney Star Wars, like, oh my God, you're ruining my life. And it's basically the same thing people in my generation were doing with the prequels. So it's funny how things go.
Yeah, I didn't like Last Jedi very much. I was like, this is not the worst thing I've ever seen, but I am nowhere near as like giddy as I was when The Force Awakens came out.
Well, TFA had a lot going for it. It was the first Disney one. I mean, Star Wars fans didn't think we were ever going to see Star Wars movies again, because George pretty much was like, yeah, I'm done, fuck it. And he's like, yeah, I want to be a bit more billionaire, so I'll sell this for $4. And now he's just chilling. But nah, I get it. It's just the people are like, oh my God, TLJ is trash. It's worse than the prequels. That's where I'm just like, come on, really? I mean, let's look at them from a narrative standpoint and how they were executed. I mean, look at an Attack of the Clones, the acting, the story, the visuals, and you tell me that that's better than TLJ. That's where I start to think that people saying that they're just doing that for reactions. Like, if you just honestly look at it from a cinema standpoint, I'm not even talking Star Wars, just a cinema standpoint, how it was shot, acted, scripted, the prequels are just not that good, in my opinion. But we're here to talk about games, but we're here to talk about movies, too. So, guys, let's go ahead and move on to our last little topic here as we... I didn't think we'd hit an hour our first cast, but I am a gas bag, and it happens. So there you go. But I think we've had some good dialogue so far. But the last thing I kind of want to end on, and it's been big all week because we got the pre-sale date. Well, fuck, not the date. We had pre-sales go live for Avengers Endgame. That happened on April 2nd. So that was yesterday in terms of when we're recording this cast. And it fucking blew up the movie internet. I'm talking any movie chain, movie aggregators like a Fandango, AMC in particular, just got leveled by the Avengers Endgame pre-sale, guys. So I doubt Nat was trying for tickets. I could see Enrique might have been fighting the online mess that was yesterday. So am I correct?
Yeah, to no avail.
Did you?
Yep. Dude, every site, man, I checked. It was Fandango, it was AMC, it was Alamo Draft House, man. Like, they were just crashed. I could not log on to a single one of them. I felt like I was trying to buy Comic-Con tickets.
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like. And Fandango even had that kind of bumper system, and it was still fucking shit up. From what I read, AMC was the biggest culprit for fucking up Fandango as bad as it was for AMC screenings, because I'm AMC Stubs list, or A-list. That's where I basically pay $20 a month. I can watch 3 movies a week. It's fantastic.
Nice.
So that's where I see my films. Plus, it's a mile away. Mac Daddy, Dolby Theaters, you name it. It's pimp. So that's where I want to go see this. AMC was down from, I'd say, 8 a.m. East until about 4 p.m. East. Just dead. Think about Nat's an IT guy. I used to be an IT guy. I teach IT at the college level. Imagine if you were in IT at AMC yesterday. What your day would have been like.
I would have been shitting myself all day and probably been fired.
Because listen, you know where I'm going. Hopefully, not only was your entire online ticketing system for all of your theaters across the world down for Endgame. People couldn't buy tickets for any fucking movies yesterday at AMC theaters using their online ticketing system. The shit was dead. I mean, think about the dollars lost on that because they got caught with their pants down on a fan rush. I never understand how people can't read tea leaves with Geeks.
All right, but hey, I'm going to stop right there, though, because it wasn't just them. I mean, it was almost every major theater outlet. I don't think anybody expected to be that much of a turnout for Avengers tickets.
I don't know. That's what I'm saying.
I think it even beat the Star Wars sales.
It did. That's what I mean. But I saw this coming. All right, I'm not going to say I'm Nostradamus or anything of geek, but just based on the hype that IW left MCU fans with. I mean, how could you not expect people to go ape shit to try and buy tickets for this thing? I mean, it's 3 hours long. It's the culmination of 21 movies that have built to this point. You're probably going to lose at least one of the original 6. I mean, this is a major, major geek moment. You got to be ready for it. All I can hope is that all these fuckers took yesterday as a lesson for Star Wars Episode 9.
Yeah, I hope that from that they kind of rebust their system a little bit because, like I said, I don't think they were expecting that. And by the time the wave hit, the dam was already broken. So all they could really do is damage control at that point.
That's the problem, especially when it comes to netcode and stuff. I mean, you don't have enough fingers to stick in holes when people are constantly, like me, hammering your network, refreshing your page, clicking on buttons. I imagine at some point they probably just had to pull the fucking router. Leave us the fuck alone.
But I mean, from a tech standpoint, man, I think it's just one of those use cases that you don't really prepare for until it happens because in their back of their minds, they're like, I think we'll be fine. And then it happens and you're like, you know what? We weren't fine.
Well, it's like I compare it to the days where a massive video game would come out, and these people could tell it was popular based on pre-orders, this, that, and the other thing, and they wouldn't have enough fucking servers online for launch. They wouldn't have enough shit ready, so a bunch of people go out, buy it, throw it in. They can't even play the game they bought day one. I mean, it's just like I don't get that stuff. Like, if you know the demand, at least in the video game, you could gauge demand through pre-orders. I mean, here, I still contend if you knew anything about Marvel fans, the MCU, and what this movie is to them, you probably should have figured there was going to be a rush. I mean, fuck, Captain Marvel had huge pre-sale, and that was a completely new property, new character for the MCU, that is. So, I mean, as Enrique said, this Endgame has set a new pre-sale record. It decimated what TFA did back in, I think, 2015. I just annihilated it. My AMC, I believe, Thursday night has close to 30 screenings of it.
I was going to say, dude, the Alamo in our area, they're actually, I think on that Friday, they're not shutting down, but they're only streaming Endgame at every one of their theaters. Like, every screen. So you're not going to be able to watch any other movie except Avengers.
So, Nat, I mean, does any of this move your meter? Do you give a shit about Marvel movies?
I do. I think a lot of people are really excited to see Ant-Man shrink down.
Yeah.
Thanos'
Don't say it.
I put the video out there. I mean, someone did. They took the time to do an illustration of what it would look like. So what Nat's talking about, it's a theory going out there by fans. I mean, it's silly. I guess the Russo brothers got a kick out of it too. But their theory is the easiest way to beat Thanos is just to have Ant-Man shrink himself, fly up his asshole, and then grow back to normal size. Right?
Have you seen the ass on Thanos, though?
Problem solved. I have not seen his ass. What does it look like?
There is no way Ant-Man could work his way in there.
It's that tight?
It is that tight and firm.
He's very anal. I got you.
He has the infinity asshole.
There you go.
Yeah.
But dude, man, like that's they actually sneak dropped another teaser, I think, yesterday too.
Yeah.
And
It's
man, I got
more,
I got the shakes watching that, man.
You got more voiceover from Thanos, right? I mean, he was essentially talking shit.
It does, yeah. And then you see, I think what did it for me, there's a scene where you see like the big three, which is Thor, Iron Man, and Cap.
Right.
Just kind of like slowly walking up on Thanos.
Oh yeah. So the special
man.
look. I mean, those of you if you follow EB, I dissected the trailer. I took a bunch of screen grabs from it. I think there was 30 to check out, and then I did my kind of breakdown of it. And yeah, it was only a minute long, but there was some great new footage in there. I mean, you had obviously the Cap and Tony handshake. Enrique mentioned that there may be some time shit going on there. Who knows? I mean, they're gonna have to time travel. It looked to me like the Milano now has the light speed that we learned about in Captain Marvel. Who knows? She was piloting it. You never know. There's clearly going to be some sort of time jump. I mean, Nat's the dead giveaway. Not our Nat, but Natalie Romanoff. I mean, she's got the red hair with blonde tips, which signifies time has passed since IW. But then there's another shot. She's all blonde again. So what the fuck is going on? But like Enrique said, that end where Thanos does his voiceover, basically taunting them again, like, oh, I know why you fuckers are back here. It's because you fucking lost. And you're feeling sorry for yourselves. And as Enrique said, you get the shot of the big three walking side by side to confront him on what I'm going with, and I put it in the video. People have put it out there now today. I'm thinking that may be the destroyed Xandar that we did not see in IW.
It could be. I know there's people also saying that maybe that scene takes place in the first 20, 30 minutes of the movie, and that's when they lose, and then the time jumping hijinks come in. Who knows?
And that.
Oh, so that's not like the end of the movie. It's actually like the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, it could be.
And they've done masterful jobs with the trailers here. I mean, Marvel excels at dropping bitchin' trailers that make you want to see the movie without really telling you anything. Because
that's
the
what
way
I love
they
about
edit
them.
it, all shit's out of order. I mean, they could make it look like it's one scene when it's actually scenes that could be 20 minutes apart. They do a fantastic job at getting you hyped and excited without ruining it.
Yeah, and I think for most superhero movies, I don't really give a damn about spoilers because, I mean, I've been reading the comics for years since I was a kid. So, like, for me, like, these stories have already been told. I'm just getting to see them on the big screen. So, I don't mind reading up on spoilers. But for some reason, Endgame, I'm actually so excited for that. This is, I think, the first superhero movie where I don't want to get spoilers. I want to go in completely blind and just be surprised and take in what they give me.
Totally. So, I'm ready for it. Obviously, a lot of people are ready for it. That's why the internet crashed yesterday. I think it's going to be absolutely stellar. I mean, I have a buddy that worked on it over the summer when they were doing pickups. He's a stunt guy.
Nice.
He knows everything. And I was like, don't fucking say a word. Don't tell me shit. I'm jealous of you. I also feel bad for you that you know it without seeing the finished product. I asked him, I was like, what's it like? It has to be awesome that you're there seeing it get made, but it also kind of has to suck that it gets spoiled for you. And he's like, yeah, it's a little bit of both, but I'll take hanging out with, Hemsworth and Evans and whatever to know what's going to happen early without seeing the finished cut of the movie. So, yeah, I mean, dude, trust me. This thing's going to be insane.
It's going to be huge.
All right, boys. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our first whatever the hell time we're going to call this cast. Let's just roll with Geek Time for now. We may change it. You never know. It was fun. I think we hit on some key topics here that gamers are interested in. We had Nat reporting from PAX East, checking out that Devolver stuff. Smelly people, asshole hallways. Avoid that at all costs. Obviously, Anthem. It's a very divisive game, still is, and probably will forever be. And obviously, Avengers Endgame is going to kick ass, and it could be one of the greatest films I ever see. And I'm so happy that they're like, fuck it, 3 hours, let's do it. We need more long movies like this. You pussies that can't hold your piss, that's your problem. Condition yourselves. Don't drink liquids that day. It's not that hard. All right, boys, anything you want to leave the fans with here?
Nah, man, I'm just excited for Avengers.
Hell yeah.
That's the only thing on my mind for the next few weeks.
Yep.
I really hope that my audio isn't fucked up. That's all I got to say.
Well, you
sound
fine the whole
smooth.
time. My cat stepped on my stem while we were recording, and it stopped the recording, but I got it going again before I said something, so hopefully everything's all right. If not, it'll just sound a little wonky, but that's how we do it at Entertainment Buddhist. So, all right.
And then the second one will be awesome.
We will get better.
Yeah,
so
just baby steps.
We will get. We're going to start doing these on a regular basis. We're going to have to figure out our flow here, our cadence, our whatever we do every other week, once a month. We'll get something going. But I had a good time. Hopefully Enrique and Nat did too. And obviously the most important thing is hopefully you people listening enjoyed us gabbing, right? Because if you didn't, then what the fuck are we doing with our lives? All right, my friends, thanks again for tuning in to the return of the Entertainment Buddhacast / Geek Time / whatever time. It was a good time, and that's all that matters. All right. May the Force be with you? No, I don't think so. This isn't a Star Wars podcast. So just make sure to keep yourselves tuned to entertainmentbuddha.com on a daily basis because we will make you better geeks one post at a time.